Hello everybody, this is JerTheGeek, and I'm here to answer all of the questions that you guys asked me in the previous Q&A video. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started with these questions. The first one is from Teddy Thompson, who asks, "Hi Jer, should I get the new MacBook Air 11-inch or just keep my old 2013 MacBook Air?" And so my answer to this is, I really think the 2013 MacBook Air is a really good machine. I had one myself, and when I got my Mac replaced, I ended up getting a 2014 MacBook Air. But there's a very small difference there between the two. They both have really great battery life. And the new MacBook Air, the 2015 one, there's a little bit of a bump in processor speed. The SSD is faster, but I think all of that really is not going to make a huge difference in terms of just what you're going to be doing every day. I really think that the 2013 MacBook Air is still a perfectly current and relevant machine, and it's still going to get the latest software updates. It's going to run El Capitan perfectly fine when it comes out this fall, and I really think it's still a great machine. And unless you really are needing to upgrade because you need more storage or something like that, I would just say stick with your 2013 MacBook Air. Maybe wait to see if Apple releases a Retina MacBook Air sometime soon. Maybe go ahead and get that when it comes out. But I would just say and recommend wait to upgrade and just keep your 2013 MacBook Air because it still is a perfectly fine machine that should suit your needs perfectly fine. The next question is from Chongxiong, who asks, "Will you do a What's on My iPhone video?" Now, another one of you asked pretty much the same thing. Tech Reviewer asked, "Can you please do a video on what's on your iPhone 5S?" And so, since you guys have requested it, a few other people have asked me as well. I will do a What's on My iPhone video, so yes on that one. My next video, I'll make it a What's on My iPhone video because you guys have requested it. So be looking for that in around 2 weeks after I publish this video. I'll go ahead and start working on that as my next video. Kevin Chong also asks, "What was your first Apple device?" And that was an old iPod Classic. It was the one with the scroll wheel. It was black. It was thick. It was like a big brick in your pocket, and it had this green silicone case on it. And I loved that thing. I got it. It was actually used, given to us by a friend, and I loved this thing. It was just awesome. I played simple little arcade games on it, and did just listen to music. I watched movies and TV shows on it, and it was just so fun. Something about that first Apple device is really great. But yeah, it was an iPod Classic was my first Apple device. Moving on to the next question. Playmobil12 asks, "How old were you when you got your first Apple device?" And as I mentioned in the last question, my iPod Classic was my first Apple device, and I was 11 when I got that. I got it on Christmas Day. I remember my parents surprised me. I didn't think I was getting any tech at all for that year, and I didn't really have any electronics at that point. And they surprised me, went in my room, and on my bed was laying an iPod Classic. And so I was so excited, and yeah, so I was 11 when I got that. Jake Lego Films asks a multitude of questions. The first one being, "Are you a walrus?" And based on this top secret photo that just got leaked, yes, I am. Can the iPad Air be used as a skateboard? Boom. Are we cool enough to the point that we can punch the wall? And I'm going to answer this right now. What should I buy first, a Surface 3 or iPhone 5S? And you said you already know the answer to this, but I'm going to chime in anyway and give my opinion. I do think you should buy the Surface 3 first, given that you already have the iPod Touch 5 and the iPad Mini 3. I think you're set on Apple devices. You also have the iMac. So I think the Surface 3 will fit nicely between those different devices that you have and give you a mix of both Microsoft and Apple. So you can have kind of the best of both worlds in that way. I had to come inside for the next question because it is very secretive. Are you part of the NSA? Shh. Will you ever do Lego set reviews? And this is a good one. I have considered doing Lego set reviews in the past. I've done actually quite a few of them before, and I've considered, actually when I first started the channel, starting my whole review system and doing like total Lego set reviews just as the main thing of the channel. But I'm really more focused on tech for my channel right now, and I don't get a ton of Lego sets, actually myself, that I build and collect. I do build and collect Lego, as you can see. I have tons of it all over my room on shelves and stuff like that, but it's not really my main focus right now. My main focus is tech. But when I do get a set in, I do sometimes, occasionally will look over it and do a quick review of it. But for the most part, my channel is mainly focused on tech with just a little bit of Lego on the side, because that's another thing that I'm also interested in. in. And Jake's last question is, isn't Windows Vista the best OS ever? Yes, Windows Vista is the best OS ever. It's so awesome. I'm so mad at Microsoft that they released Windows 7, 8, and 10 because I just should have just stuck with Vista. It is awesome. In all seriousness, though, no, it is not. The next question is from Santiago Fernanda, who asks, hi, are you already or will you ever get bored with your Apple Watch? And that's a really good question. And while the watch has become more of a part of my everyday life, and it's more normal now than it was when I first got it back in April, it definitely is not boring. It's still something that I enjoy using each day. I look forward to putting it on. I have fun changing the watch faces, changing out the different straps. Like I just got this red leather loop, which I did an unboxing of. I'm wearing the green sport band right now, but it's really fun to get new bands for it and swap them out. And then there's certain times where you'll have features that you don't really use much, and then all of a sudden you use them. Like, for example, I went on vacation 2 weeks ago, and I used the Maps feature a lot more than I had ever used it before. And so it ended up being helpful to ask Siri, get directions to this place, or find this restaurant near me, and it became kind of a really fun tool because it was a feature I hadn't really used before. So there are times when you'll find something that you didn't really know you could do, or something that you don't use much, all of a sudden you'll start using it, and it becomes really fun and exciting again. But for the most part, I think this happens with all technology. Like, for example, with my iPad Air or my iPhone 5S, the features in it that used to be really fun and exciting become more of a part of your everyday life. But I don't think that makes it boring. It just makes them more normal. So I hope that answers your question there. Next, we have a question from Amy Brown, who asks, how do you rate the OtterBox, LifeProof, and other high-end phone/pad cases to other knockoff, cheaper brands? So this is definitely an important thing to know when you are shopping for a specific phone case, especially for a protective case. And the bad thing about the generic cases is they are not as reliable at all as the genuine LifeProof and OtterBox cases, especially when you're trusting your device to be protected from drops and expecting it to be waterproof, like with a LifeProof. You do not want to go with a knockoff case. These cases will fail, especially when you put them in water, and they could easily fail when you drop them. I haven't personally tested, but I've heard that the knockoff LifeProofs are not fully waterproof, and they're just not as good. So when you're trusting your $600 device in one of these cases, it makes sense just to spend a little bit extra money to get the genuine one, so that all the features of the case will be working correctly, and you just know you have the better quality of the genuine product. So I do like some knockoff stuff, like knockoff Apple Watch bands are great, stuff like that. But when you're trusting your phone with it, it just makes more sense to go with the real deal. They also asked, how do you rate the Mophie covers? I found these at the Mac store. Some just give extended battery time and others add more memory to your phone. Do these really work, and do they protect your phone? And I have heard great things about these Mophie cases. They've been recommended to me quite a few times when I've had issues with my iPhone 5s's battery. Everyone has recommended the Mophie cases, and from what I've seen, they seem to provide quite a bit of protection on the phone. They seem to kind of wrap around it to give good protection on the back and sides. The front doesn't look like it's too protected, but if you have a screen protector on it, you probably would be good to go. In terms of the memory, the only downside to this is that you have to use a separate app to store stuff, and it looks like you can go into the app and save stuff from the computer, but it's not like it just adds more storage to your actual phone. So if you have photos saved on it, you couldn't view them in the Photos app on your phone. You'd have to go into this Mophie Space app, as it's called. So that would be one downside. They definitely looks like they do work, and they have been highly recommended. Even though I haven't personally tested them, I would recommend them. The last question, but not least, is from Bogle Knight, who asks, as traveling with a laptop is becoming more and more common, which laptop would you recommend for travel? I would really like this answered, as my lifestyle is soon to become based around travel. Now, right up front, I want to let you know that I'm not a PC guy, I'm a Mac guy, so I don't really follow what's going on in the world of PCs, what's being released, so I don't have any PCs that I could personally recommend because I'm not testing them or using them or learning about them, but I do have 3 different Macs that I could recommend you. The first one is the new 12-inch MacBook, which has the Retina display, but its big downside is that it only has one port. It's a USB-C port, and it's used for charging and syncing. But if you want to plug an SD card in or a USB thumb drive into it, like a traditional USB 2.0, just a standard USB any sort of USB connection into it, you have to get an adapter. And so it ends up being that you have this thin and light laptop. It's very thin, very light, very futuristic in that sense. But then you have to end up lugging all these adapters around. So unless you want to carry this big bag of adapters around with you, the 12-inch MacBook ends up being not quite as convenient as it really seems. unless, of course, you don't have a lot to plug in and you're just going to be mainly using stuff from the cloud. You're not having to worry about a bunch of external storage. It does come with 256 gigs of storage on the base model, so that is nice. If you don't have a lot of external stuff to plug in, and also you're willing to sacrifice a bit of performance, because it only has that Core M processor, so it's more of a mobile style processor in that regards. If you don't need a ton of performance, then the 12-inch MacBook would be a good choice because of that nice Retina display, and it is really thin and light. But like I said, if you need to plug external stuff in, you're going to be better off with my next recommendation, which is the 11-inch MacBook Air. Now, it also comes in a 13-inch, which is what I'm using now. I did have the 11-inch MacBook Air before I got the 13-inch, but I use mine exclusively at home, so I didn't really need the super portable size of the 11-inch. But if you're traveling all the time, like I said, the 11-inch MacBook Air makes perfect sense. It's got 2 USB ports and a Thunderbolt port, so you can use USB stuff without having adapters, and it's going to be more powerful than a 12-inch MacBook Air because it has that Core i5 or even Core i7 processor. You can configure it to. If you want the SD card slot, the 13-inch comes with that. The 13-inch does have a bit more wrist typing space, which I enjoy, but then again, if you're traveling, the smaller form factor of the 11-inch makes perfect sense. It feels like an iPad when you pick it up. It's super thin, super light, and while it lacks that Retina display and it doesn't have the most high quality screen, it still is perfectly fine. It still looks great, and it's going to be a machine that you can just slip into your bag and use just about anywhere. And so I really think if you're traveling all the time, I think the 11-inch MacBook Air is the one you really can't go wrong with. So I hope that helps your purchasing decision. So that is it, guys. Thanks so much for all your awesome questions. I had a lot of fun reading them and answering them. It's been great, so thanks so much for supporting the channel and asking great questions. This was a really fun video to do. So if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe by clicking the annotation at the end of the video if you're on the desktop site, or if you're on mobile, go ahead and click the link down in the description. As always, be sure to check out some more of my videos as well. So yeah, just thanks again. Thanks for being such great fans. I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers. I can't believe I've gotten this far. It's very exciting. I'm getting so close, though. Please continue to support the channel. Spread the word about it. You guys are awesome. God bless. Have a great day.